to Fitility podcast with Nick and Mark.
Welcome back.
Welcome back. You are listening on one of many platforms. So I'm hoping, if you haven't already, please may you subscribe, follow, like, share, whatever you can do to support the podcast. That would be amazing.
Yeah, we really appreciate it. And ratings as well on Spotify. I've noticed we have got 2 5-stars.
Woo!
And a 4-star, which I actually rate that because that's genuine. Like, because I'll be honest, I was one of the 5-star reviews. I don't know if you the other one.
No,
if you weren't, that's great. We've had a 5-star review. But 4-star feels real. I mean, it's like, why have you just put 4? Why can't you put 5?
Yeah, but please send feedback.
Oh yeah, please do.
This
is not going to be a 5-star podcast.
Hey, we've never done this before. No. Sitting in our lounge, baby on the floor.
Yeah.
One in bed. Speaking of babies, we wanted to talk this week. On my Instagram, I get quite a lot of questions about you. I feel like parenting is most of our life.
Yeah,
it's pretty much all of our life.
Yeah.
So we're gonna speak on that. And today we're gonna discuss like how having children has changed our lives and like affected what we do, and kind of just our general outlook on things, and then like the change going from 1 to 2, because that is a big question and it's a lot debated, saying whether you think the 0 to 1 is harder or the 1 to 2 is harder. And then obviously we have no experience of going to any more. But prior to that, I just wanted to check in on you and see how your week's been.
Because we haven't seen each other since the last time we recorded this podcast.
Pretty much.
Yeah, we've all been ill, haven't we?
Yeah, the lurgies struck the Robinson household.
Yeah, we were being pretty smug. Well, I was definitely being pretty smug. I was hearing of like families falling down, this time of year. Oh, must be the time of year. It's just the thing we say in this country, isn't it? Must be the time of year.
Not that January's bad enough.
I know, yeah. So, yeah, I was thinking, I'm hearing lots of people getting ill. Like, we're getting ill.
I heard something today about illness. It was Huberman.
Yeah.
He was saying that like being active, like having a sweaty session, 40 under an hour,
right,
keeps your natural killer cells high, which keeps colds and flus at bay.
Interesting. What about if you did like 1 hour and 5?
I'm not sure on the research on that, but he was saying like that is like optimum for that. But then if you're like starting to get ill, perhaps not training is the best thing, because it kind of aggravates it because of the stress of the workout.
I've heard.
So we've both kind of not done our sports since we've been poorly, have we?
Yeah. Generally, when I get ill, it just writes me off completely. But I've not really been in a good routine lately anyway, which we'll no doubt get into in this episode when it comes to kids. But yeah, did you know there's such a thing as Huberman husbands?
What's a Huberman husband?
So I think, I could be wrong, and I've only briefly heard about it, but it's where like wives want their husbands to listen to Andrew Huberman
because he knows so much.
Because he knows so much. It's like, educate yourself, all right. Yeah, I think that's what it is. There may even be T-shirts that people wear. I could be wrong, but yeah, there seems to be. I mean, the guy's like he's everywhere, isn't he, at the moment?
He's on our social media.
Yeah, true. If you don't know who we're talking about, Andrew Huberman, it is definitely something I would recommend listening to if you have 3 hours spare. So where do you want to start then? Oh, hang on.
I know,
how's your week been?
Rude. Also been ill.
Yeah.
But perhaps a highlight of the week was my parents came over.
Oh yeah, this was good. This was very good.
We were like, come over, watch the kids for us. We'll clean the garage out. We'll get the gym back. Garage is full of shit, obviously, but the gym is up in there. Get the gym back. Storm Aisha came and ruined our fun. No garage cleaning was done. Mum, still come over. Can you watch the kids for us? We're going to go to the pub.
It was the best hour and a half I've had in a
We'll be
very long
back in an
time.
hour. It was so good to
Yeah.
just sit across from you with no screens, no kids, no nothing except a glass of wine, and just to talk without being interrupted, without having Dougie on in the background, without anything.
Yeah.
It was just I couldn't tell you the last time we did that.
No, we need to do it more. It was so valuable. Like, to have that time where you're using your childcare, as it were, for something that's just for me and you. Because 99% of the time in our parenting life,
Yeah.
we've used childcare to be with our friends, which obviously is amazing.
Yeah, for events and
or
things
weddings
like
or anything like that.
Yeah.
And like, that's so good, and it's good to do. But when you're only doing that,
that. Yeah.
you're only, because then when we are, say, with our friends or an event, generally we are with other people, we talk to other people,
Yeah, we're kind of the people that turn up to somewhere and generally split.
not
go and
not for the whole night, but
talk to other people, mingle, whatever,
yeah,
and then come together a couple of times throughout the evening. You having a nice time?
you alive?
You having a nice time? We had something to eat. Would you like another drink? Like those sorts of things.
Yeah.
But
yeah, doing that was great. I
Yeah.
really enjoyed it, and I think it's you. I don't know, like you take things for granted. Like, obviously you look back now at when before we had children, and I always do, and I'm like, what the hell was I thinking? Like, that I was busy. Like, I didn't know shit about being busy.
No.
Like, I didn't know shit about stress. But like, yeah, I think you took going to the pub or just going out for a meal or anything for granted.
Just
like,
being able to.
yeah, and you kind of know what's coming when you're becoming a parent. Like, you know that your time's going to get sapped away, but you still don't fully know until you are a parent. Like,
Yeah.
like it takes everything away from you.
It's amazing.
Don't get me wrong, it's unbelievable. But I'm specifically talking about that time that we
yeah.
have together. It's like,
Yeah, you as a couple it becomes further down the list, doesn't it?
oh yeah, definitely.
And I think that's hard. I think that's a hard one to kind of navigate and kind of you always have to like put it to bed for a little while, don't you? You have to take a little pause in it. Like I say, I think parenting guilt gets the better of you, like perhaps asking for help so that you can have a relationship yourselves. It's really difficult, isn't it? Because it's like, oh, will you watch my kids so I can hang out with my husband?
Yeah.
Or I don't know, I feel guilty for saying that because we chose to have children and that they're our responsibility and they don't sleep well. Well, Remy's only coming up to 4 months old. Jax is nearly 3, but he's always been a terrible sleeper. So I've always felt that he's my burden and he's not to be put on someone else, especially overnight. And I mean, if it would be different, I think if he went to bed at 7 p.m, I use that as an arbitrary children bedtime, whatever time it would be, and he just then slept all night, I don't think I'd feel so guilty.
No.
But because he doesn't sleep like that, I do.
You're signing someone else up for a shit night's sleep.
Yeah.
And if you're not initiated like we are, I think that's really tough to, like, not only, even if it is for the evening, it's the whole bedtime routine.
Yeah.
And like, obviously we've not put anyone, like, we've not put both of them on anyone just yet.
Not
for a long period of time. But like, we're mainly saying like our experience of when we just had Jax, and Jax alone like is just hard enough when it comes to sleep. He's had so many different phases of his life where it's been like, on the whole, it's been rubbish the whole time, but there's been times where it's like utterly terrible, and you just you can't put that on anyone. So that then you kind of have to just, like, I don't know, like, barricade yourself in as a family and just sort of deal with it.
Yeah.
I think going back to what you were saying about like how you kind of just have to put that to the side.
Yeah.
I think that's true, but I also think that acknowledging it is really important as a couple.
Yeah.
And that's something I know you do better than I do, but I think that's really good to, like, you both go, oh, this is, I miss you, like, this is
Yeah.
rubbish. Like, to at least acknowledge it, I think is really important. If you just go, yeah, well, we're not going to see each other, and never talk about it, I think that's not ideal.
Yeah.
Like, at least you can just say it's crap. But like the other day, we were like, what are we going to do about it?
We
And
still haven't got an answer for that question.
no, I think we're still figuring things out. We're not going to be the podcast that has all the answers. Jesus, I think we're just sharing our experience, aren't
Yeah,
we?
I think what we're hoping to get out of this is to share our experience and hope that it kind of makes you feel supported if you're feeling any of the feelings we're feeling
Yeah,
also. And if you're a parent to be, perhaps you'll kind of get some insights into what it's like, and things you can do to kind of help
yeah. We don't want to come
yourselves.
across like overly negative or overly positive. I think, like, we want to be honest and real. Like, we
Yeah.
absolutely love our lives. Like, I
No.
wouldn't change my life for anyone's, like, for nothing. But there are parts of it that you're just not prepared for. I don't think, both the positives and the negatives. Like, there's certain moments that we've had since being parents that I just couldn't, like, they'll be on my wildest dreams of moments and
Yeah.
feelings that I just never even knew that were inside me. But like, there are times where it's so tough. But the great thing is like we always say, is just like being together and talking about it, because that
Yeah.
helps so much, so
Attacking
much.
things as a unit definitely is helpful. Or like being able to have that support. Like, we're very lucky that we've got a good support system around us, being it together and with family around, that we've got people to lean on if we needed that support.
Mm.
And I know that some people don't live nearby their family, or they're not close with their family, or whatever. And we haven't really got anything to say on that, because we don't have experience in it. And I feel like we shouldn't try to understand things we can't understand.
No, I think it's really good to, like, not have an opinion on everything,
Yeah,
which
definitely.
is rare
Yeah, everyone
in
loves
today's
it.
world.
Yeah, I am. Oh, was that your name?
Jesus, yeah,
Good God.
getting old.
So
33 soon.
to sum up, my week's been all right.
Yeah.
Um,
Was that not as succinct as you wanted it to be?
nah, it's fine. It's all to do with the same thing, isn't it? So when we've always wanted to have a family, haven't we?
Yeah.
Since we've been together since I was 14 and you were 16, we were at school, and we always, envisioned our life together. We always thought we'll get married and we'll have children and we'll live this amazing life. But you'd always said, like, I don't know whether we said this in the first episode, but you have always wondered whether we'd struggle or not, or what if we struggled. I think we did touch on it.
We did.
And obviously it ended up that we did need IVF to have Jax. I think that did that make the pregnancy feel different, and like becoming parents? I feel like we treasured it all. And I feel like at the time it came through COVID, there wasn't a lot else to think about.
Yeah.
Like, we weren't busy with other things the way I felt the second time I was pregnant.
Yeah.
Um,
I agree. Life seemed simpler, like, through pregnancy. Like, our life was simpler
yeah.
back then. And then when Jax was born, again, coming into, like I say, our life was a bit simpler.
Yeah.
I think it felt, like, if you're asking me, was it easier first time around, the second time around, I'd say it was easier going 0 to 1 than 1 to 2, which is probably the opposite of what most people will say.
I think easy. That was easier. It was
Yeah.
harder going from 1 to 2.
Yeah.
Totally.
But a lot of people, especially before Jax was born, the people that we did know that had 2 children, they kind of played it down and said that, like,
they just slot in around your life.
Yeah, and you've done it before, and those things are true.
Yeah.
Those things are true. When you start changing nappies in the middle of the night, and you go, the muscle memory comes back.
Definitely.
You've done this before. In that respect, it's not a shock to the system. You're not as scared. You're not as, like, like it's not surreal, or it is a bit surreal, but I don't know. It felt familiar, and I think even more so, like if you've kept some of their clothes, and and they both look bloody alike.
Yeah.
Those feelings, like it makes it feel more familiar. So yeah, I think going from naught to one was an unbelievably mad experience.
Did you feel when, like, before Jax was born, did you think you knew what it was going to be like to be a parent?
Um, it's really hard to like go back into that mindset. I think I definitely had an idea of what it was like going to be a parent, and I remember like reading or listening to an audiobook on raising boys in the 21st century. So that I was definitely like trying to prime myself to be a parent of a boy in particular. But I don't know. It's really hard to get back into that mindset of someone like that. Before we had children, I don't think. No, I don't think I was fully ready for what was to come.
No,
The,
I don't think you
the,
can be fully ready, but I think I felt like I knew I felt like I didn't know.
mm,
Expectation versus reality. I thought I knew what it was
mm,
going to be like.
right. Okay. Yes. Yeah. I see what you mean there. Yes. Okay. Yes. Yeah. I did. I just wasn't prepared for what it really was like.
Yeah, it's totally different, isn't it? Like we had never, I'd never changed a nappy, annoyed you,
No.
and we'd never dressed a child.
Never held a baby, pretty much. Really.
I'd held a couple in my lifetime before Jax was born, but yeah, we didn't really know that many babies, did we? So it was.
There's a thing about that that might be like there might be an actual like I can give you like a maybe a legit reason as to why that is. So like as decades have gone on, families have on the whole got smaller.
Right.
People, you hear about like well certainly on my side of the family, like my nan was I think she was one of seven, maybe. I mean, I'm one of four, but generally, like families back in the day that were having more kids, you would then eventually like hold children as an older, like if you're the
Yeah.
seventh, you're the
There's
oldest,
lots of
and you've
like
got
cousins, nieces, and nephews, things like
yeah.
that.
I mean, I don't
Yeah.
know if that's true or not, but yeah, it led us to the point where neither of us had really, held kids, been around them, known what to do. So yeah, it was all new.
It's
It was
funny,
all
isn't it?
new.
Because we knew that that's the life we wanted.
Yeah, I think because when you picture having kids, personally, I didn't think about a newborn baby. I didn't. I never really gave that much thought. Like back when we first started going out, if I thought about us as a family, I think I don't know. No, there's like an age range, and it must be like 5, 6. All my kids are 5, 6 years old, and we're just playing, and we're in the sun, and we're having a great time, and that is what I thought. And we've had moments like that. Do not get me wrong. We've had incredible moments. Playing on the beach with Jax, and he's just having the best time ever. And you just, there's moments as parents where you like time stops still, in my opinion. And I don't feel that ever really happened too much before I was a parent, where you're like, this is unbelievable. Like this is so good.
Yeah.
This moment is incredible. What we're doing right now, I wouldn't want to change anything. And that can happen like at home, in the lounge, in the garden, on a beach somewhere abroad. Like those moments happen no matter where you are, because they just do things that are just so unbelievably amazing.
I think it's really nice that you like are in the moment and you feel that way.
I try my best to be in the moment as much as I possibly can. I can.
Oh,
Oh, I mean, do you disagree, Rems? I think it's really easy to. I mean, there's so many distractions today, like to pull you out of the present moment. I mean, I'm not perfect. Jax tells me, "Put your phone down, Daddy."
yeah.
He can say, "Put your phone down, Daddy." That's not good, to hear that. When I am legitimately trying to just like, do a quick quote or whatever to a customer, but still, it's like boundaries. Put it away.
It is hard because obviously we're self-employed and we are trying to.
Juggle everything.
Yes. That's another thing we'll come on to. But yeah, we're just trying to do our best and our work isn't time blocked into 9 to 5.
Mm.
And then, you know,
I mean, a lot of people who are employed as well will feel probably the pressure to check emails, and that work comes home with them as well. I can't really talk about that because I've never really been
yeah, we
employed.
just know what our life looks like, don't we?
But that moment of like going back to what you were saying about like being in the present moment, it's not something that anyone on this earth does all the fucking time. It just doesn't happen. There
No.
are like the best person in the world that's got their shit figured out will still go into some sort of doom scroll on their phone because that is just the way it's designed. It's there to get you, and it will get you. But you just have to like put in boundaries so that I personally try my best to do that because I know that this part of my life, well, every part of my life, but it feels like this part of my life right now is a time where it's really apparent that time is passing. Because when we were in our 20s without children, I don't know, like 3 years could go by and you could go like, oh, what's changed? Like if you're still living in the same house, which we were, nothing much has changed. But then all we have to do is look on our phone and look at photos of Jack's of 3 months ago, 6 months ago.
Yeah.
Oh my God. It's like this constant living reminder that
Yeah.
time is passing by and you've got to
They're getting
make the
bigger. We're
most of it.
thinking, we're thinking about school. We're thinking about putting Remy into nursery. We're thinking, there's time stamps on everything now.
Yeah.
But like you said, there wasn't before. We were kind of just go gym, go work,
Yeah.
go on holiday,
Yeah.
look for the next holiday. And then it was like, okay, we got married, and then it was the next IVF appointment, the next infertility appointment, the next one. When are we going to have a baby? When are we going to have a baby? When are we going to have a baby? It was like fucking years of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Years and years and years of that. Like, when is the next phase of my life going to start almost? Because we kind of completed it before. I mean, we hadn't bought our own house until last year.
Yeah.
I'll say last year, 2022. But, we had our own space and we lived together. So other than buying a house, we felt like, oh, we're married. Everything's kind of tick, 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 tick. Not what we need, but we really wanted a baby. We wanted to start our own family. And then when it was kind of, oh, this isn't really happening for us, what the hell? That kind of then was the first time I'd ever wanted something in my life that I couldn't instantly have.
Mm.
And that was like, whoa, this is weird.
Yeah.
So that kind of, put a different spin on things. So yeah, you think about all your life, you're gonna be, I'm gonna be a mom, I'm gonna, have my own family and whatever, and then it just suddenly doesn't happen, or as easily as you think it's gonna happen. It changes you as a person.
Yeah. Yeah. I think what you were saying, like with regards to, when we first got together, we were talking about we wanted to, live together, get married, have kids. And like you say, you'd done the live together, we got married, and then you got to have the point where you want kids, and it was like you said, the first time you ever wanted something that you couldn't like get.
Yeah.
Um,
I think because we'd been together since we were so young as well, like all those things came in that order because that was the right order for the age we were at almost.
yeah,
And for us, we didn't want to have kids like at 18, 19. It didn't fit into our lifestyle back then.
no,
And we were setting up our own businesses, so we couldn't get a mortgage either.
yeah, barely, yeah, barely got one now.
You can't. I mean, getting a mortgage is so tough anyway. But for us, waiting until we were much older, more settled, and we already had Jack's. But yeah, we have got our own home now, which is great, and I feel like we are ticked, fully ticked.
I think that's where you can try and like whenever you feel like
Say fully ticked. I feel like our relationship box has been unticked.
yeah, yeah,
If we're being, facetious.
yeah. I think that unfortunately there comes sacrifices, I guess, and like that's not. I don't want to be like
changes, doesn't it?
yeah, but I don't want to just like accept that and roll over and be like, oh well, that's done.
No,
it's one of those where we've got to like build it back and just figure out the new reality of our relationship, we've had so many different stages of it, different like
Yeah.
versions of it, and I felt like we were in a really like solid place post Jack's, start of last year. Really great place. I mean, it must have been in a really great place. But it felt like, even though we had like the stress of trying to do the house up and things like that, it just felt like we were really, we finally got,
A
we were kind of
routine and
figuring our
stuff.
life
Yeah,
out a
well,
little bit.
Jax was in a really good place age-wise. He was coming up to 2.
Yeah.
So I didn't feel like he needed all my time and attention the way Remy does right now with breastfeeding and everything else. I feel like he was out of the baby stage, but not in this sassy 2 to 3 teenager stage that he's in now. So yeah, oh God, I love him. But he's just so like, he's so sassy sometimes. It's me. It's scary.
Yeah.
He's so bossy, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. No, he's such a character. He's beautiful. But
Mummy, you put that down and sit by me.
yeah, it's that. It's the the way he talks. It's just great. And
He's so comprehensive in what he says and confident, and like the way he puts things across for his age, I think is brilliant.
Yeah.
But at nursery, I spoke to his key worker yesterday, and she at like Jax is quite forward, I think, for his age, and she was like, "Oh, that's really great." That, she wasn't overly saying, "Oh yeah, he's really forward" or whatever, because I think generally at that nursery they're all forward. I don't think he probably overly stands out. I don't know whether he gets kind of lost in the crowd because he can be a bit shy sometimes.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's.
I've just had the vision of Daddy Daycare.
Yeah.
But the other nursery where they've all got like the school uniforms and stuff. It's not like that. But like where they're like all really smart kids or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's what, like even if he's just on track, even if he's whatever, like I think our opinion of him, like the fact that we believe he's he's so smart and he's so clever and all those things, like I think that's a good thing to think.
Yeah.
But again, on Huberman, another, God, he's getting loads of mentions on it, but there's a really good episode where it talks about the way you talk to your kids and how best to motivate them, and how you shouldn't really lean into the "you're so smart, you're so clever, well done."
I've
It's
heard
like
about this.
you should say, "That's a really good. I'm proud of the effort you put in there." Like talk about effort rather than their ability. It was again another interesting episode.
I do kind of mix up how I praise Jax. It's like earlier, we asked him to move his bike, didn't we? Because he'd left it in the doorway, and I was like, "Can you move your bike, please?" And he did in the end, and he was like, "Oh, I listened to Mummy."
Yeah,
I was like, "That was good listening to Mummy. Well done." Like, he needs reassurance that he's doing the right thing.
Yeah.
Rather than "you're so smart," so generalised.
Yeah, definitely.
You did really well at that drawing. You did really well at listening to Mummy. You did really well at walking nicely or whatever.
Yeah.
And I think,
although I do find myself saying, "I'm so proud of you, Jaxie," and partly I say it, and this is terrible. I partly say it because I know he goes, "Proud of you too, Daddy," and I'm like, "Oh,
yes, I did something right."
But like, I remember whenever he's seen me do any like work or whatever, he's like, "Good job, Daddy."
He does.
Like if I do it, like I remember I've done one of the doors here. I changed one of the kitchen doors, and he come home and I was like, "Look, Jack, look what I've done," because he didn't notice straight away. And he was like, "Good job, Daddy." And I was like, "Oh, it's the best thing ever."
Praise from a 2-year-old.
It's all I need.
It goes for a really long way, doesn't it?
Yeah. It's funny because because things happen so gradually with children. Like they don't. I mean, yeah, sometimes you can go, just gain this whole new thing overnight. But generally, their intelligence, it's a drip feeding effect, and you just have these moments where he might say something, and you just go like, "Oh my God!" Like I remember when you were just a little potato, like that, not doing anything, not saying anything, and that was something we were talking about last night, where I was like, having the second one, being amazingly fortunate enough to have a second baby, you you know what's coming, but you can't quite believe it because like we know the stages of what Jax went through and that Remy's going to go through. But I'm like, I look at him and I'm like, and there's no way you're going to talk to me the way Jax talks to me, or you're going to have little words that you would say, because Jax, obviously, when he was grown up, he's only 3,
Not
not
even.
even, but like he would say different words for different things. Obviously, he'd make up his own words for certain things. I can't believe that's not going to happen to him because with Jax, like we never had that example going forward. Like we've just sort of, and even now, like I don't know what it's like to have a 3-year-old. I haven't got a clue.
Yeah, what he's going to be like in next
No,
month.
I don't have a clue what he's going to be like in a few months' time. Whereas for him, and don't get me wrong, I know he's his own independent person. I don't want to just always be like, oh, that's like what Jax did or whatever. That's going to piss him off. But you kind of got a rough idea of development wise where he's going to be, and I just think that's an aspect of having the second child that I wasn't prepared for. Like just
Yeah.
thinking it's almost like it just has a different
But will
feeling of
you?
wonder.
But will you worry if he's not hitting same milestones that Jax was hitting?
I'm aware of it. I'm aware of not feeling that way, so I don't think I will.
Mm.
I've constantly, because I felt like Jax did well. Like, he walked by the time he was what? I mean, well, like, it doesn't matter if they're walking 18 months or 2 years, whatever, like, as long as they get there. But, like, yeah, it felt like Jax has done great. His speech is incredible. I think he's been talking so well. He's been able to articulate his feelings for a very, very long time. It feels like,
Yeah.
and we've been able to understand him. From like I say, from a really young
It
age.
hasn't stopped the tantrums.
Oh no, he doesn't understand his feelings. But he can articulate certain things well. But yeah, I think like with Remy, I don't want to. No, I don't want to set those standards in my head. If he doesn't do the same things
I
that
think you could easily slip into that though, couldn't you?
I mean, I
As in
started to.
parenting in general.
Yeah, I mean, how do you feel about like because when we had Jax, we could just be, you know, on Jax completely, and we could put him on the floor and let him because I was thinking about like tummy time and stuff like that. How do you feel as a mom, especially when it's just you and the boys, with your time with Remy? Like, how do you compare? Did you compare that to the time you had with
Yeah.
Jax?
It's hard, especially with breastfeeding,
Mm,
because that takes up so much time where I am, you know, solely with Remy, and
incapacitated.
I am very aware of how that affects Jax. And when I was pregnant with Remy, I was only worried about Jax. I would think constantly, oh my god, how is this going to affect him? How is he going to react to this? How is he going to react to me having to give someone else attention? And he's never had to obviously deal with that before. Um, Jax was 2.5 when Remy was born, so he wasn't. He's only going to nursery, like private nursery, 2 days a week. He's not in like full-time education or anything like that. So he's with me still quite a lot of the time, as well as Remy. And yeah, I was worried about how he was going to be. And he's an incredible big brother. He's like, as much as he can act out and have tantrums and various other things, he never lashes out towards Remy. He never is malicious or spiteful towards him at all. Um, it's more just like in his environment when things are upsetting him. Uh, but yeah, I'm aware that like sometimes I'm like, oh, I haven't. Not so much now. I feel like I've altered my way of being, but at the beginning it was like I feel like oh, yeah, I hold Remy, but I don't like. I'm not doing his tummy time. I'm not doing his looking at his black and white cards. I'm not doing this, that, and the other. Um, But what I've found is getting Jax involved has been really helpful, and I know that you've been doing tummy time with them both because Remy does it, doesn't he? And then he's like, Jax is like, it's my turn.
Yeah,
I'm like this nearly 3-year-old boy does not need to do tummy time, but he's like, I'm lying on the
but that,
cushion, I'm
I
doing
think
tummy time.
I think like because I'll like put Remy on the mat and I'll say look Jax, he's doing tummy time, and like Jax can then see me smiling at Remy and being like, oh, that's amazing. And I think that I'm aware that that energy that I'm giving to Remy of being like in his face and like saying like how great is that, as much as you don't want to like just do that for Jax because he's at an age where doing too much of that can probably be a negative thing. I still want him to feel like I bring the same energy for him too.
Yeah.
So yeah, he'll then go, it's my turn next. So then obviously like I'll, move Remy out of the way and Jax is there like, you know what? Like, thing is, he's happy, and that's
Yeah,
that's
it's
the
keeping
most
him
important
involved,
thing.
isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. You don't want him to be detached, and I think there's times where he struggles with, you know, more so probably. You know what? To be fair, it's both of us. If I'm holding Remy, he's like, "Daddy, give Remy to mommy." He's so articulate. He's literally, "Give Remy to mommy,"
And you do this
and
with
then
me.
and then you hug me, or we go do something together,
Yeah.
and also it's vice versa.
Yeah.
Um, and I said that right, vice versa. It's a little pet peeve of mine. People say
Vice versa.
vice versa. Anyway, I'm sure I say many things wrong, but that's one that just tickles me when I hear people say that. I think it's because it should be vice versa because I think it's just nicer to say, but I'm pretty sure it's vice versa.
It is vice versa.
Okay. Anyway, but yeah, I think that sort of balancing the time between the two of them. I mean, the reason why I ask for you because obviously you're alone with both of them more than I am,
Yeah.
and I think that's really hard. Where, especially being the breastfeeding mom, you're sometimes pinned, and uh, yeah, yeah, yeah. You never see me holding him in these videos, do you?
When you grow the titties that produce
I
milk,
mean,
then you can
it's been times.
hold him. Yeah, it's hard. It's like you're always questioning yourself, and I think parenting guilt and parenting is just one big fat question after question after question, isn't it?
Yeah.
You're just constantly questioning yourself. It's like, oh, are they poorly, or are they this? And I remember when
He
he
has been
was
moving.
when Remy was first born. We should do a birth story one actually
Oh yeah,
for
that'd be a
both
good
of
one.
them. And Remy's temperature was low, and we had to stay in hospital for 2 days. He had a heated mattress, and we had to wait for his temperature to come up to normal, and then for it to hold as well. But then when we got home, we were like, "Oh God, does he need another blanket?
Yeah,
What should he be wearing? It's winter time. I don't." But then it wasn't It was winter, but it wasn't. Remember, we had that heat wave in October.
yeah.
It was so weird. And he's like, I don't know what this boy should be wearing. Even though it's my second time around doing this, I don't know what I'm doing.
It's mad that you say that because from the outside, it looked like you had everything under control, like from pretty early on, and I was a fucking mess.
Yeah,
I
you were so worried.
I'd like regressed into first time dad massively. I couldn't believe. I genuinely just thought like I'd roll into it, and I'd forgotten everything. I don't know. I just felt like I I'm not I'm not my best self when I'm lacking in confidence. And obviously that's probably the same for everyone. But like I really feel like I can overthink
You can
things,
get a bit
panic.
anxious, can't you?
I can get like I'm very like erratic with my what do I do? I can be very like make fast movements and make mistakes. Like I think if I'm in an anxious state, I generally make things worse, and I don't just like calm down and think about it. I just found myself asking you like fucking 10 questions a day where I was just like, what do I do? What do you think you should wear? What would you? I mean, to be fair, I'm still like, I even love it last night. I was
What do
like,
you want him to wear?
he's in a long sleeve
Best.
vest. Do you think he needs to be in a short sleeve vest? What do you think? What do you think? Just like validate my feelings. I want to know what you're thinking.
Get him out the long sleeve vest.
But I do that honestly. Like even with Jax, like dressing them, I don't know why. It's still fucking nearly 3 years in. I'm just like, don't
He
know what to
picks his
wear.
own clothes now.
Yeah, he does. But like with him, like if it was my way, it'd just be vest and sleep 24/7. Because when I go into his room, I'm like, you like go get him ready, just like get him ready for the day. So I know that means pick an outfit. I'm like, fuck. Look what I'm wearing now. I'm still in my work clothes. Like I barely know how to dress myself, let alone my children. And it's like, oh, I remember
I've
if
got a
you.
wardrobe of good stuff. You just have to put the right things together.
Well, that's the thing, though, isn't it? Putting the right things together. Because there's been a few times when I'd dress Jax up, and you'd be like, okay. Honestly, there's been a couple of times where Jack's been a bit older, and he's come down, and you've been like, why is he wearing that? Oh, he chose it.
You blame him. You didn't.
I definitely have done that before. Definitely.
Oh.
He wants to wear the red socks and the blue trousers and the black t-shirt. What's wrong with that?
He always wants to wear the red socks.
Yeah, he does the
They're
slippy
so
socks.
slippy. They're his football socks.
I know. Yeah. Mad.
Anyway, so 1 to 2 is harder.
Yeah, I think so. I would vote. I'd
There's-
vote in that camp.
I was talking about it the other day with some friends, and I think that 1 to 2 is nice because you already have experience, like we already talked about changing nappies, getting them dressed. You have some confidence because you have done it before. Whereas when Jax was first born, they were like, "You can get him ready now," and we were like,
What?
"Don't know what that means, mate.
No.
Can please help us?"
That's true. I wasn't like going back to what I just said a second ago. I wasn't like just first
No,
time
I
dad,
know.
where I was like, shit, how do I put a vest on? Like, because that is actually quite scary at first.
Yeah, because they're so fragile, aren't they?
But then like I remember the midwife being like, they're more robust than you think, and that made me feel better. Like just that sentence.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. I wasn't just like you know, but they are more robust than you think, and it's true. And you can like pull their arms here and legs and get them in, like they're fine. But like when they're
Gently.
yeah, but gently. But when they're this thing that that you've wanted so much, you're just like, how do I? They're lying flat on their back, and I've got to get these clothes on them. But like, I want them to almost be 2D, so I can just like throw the things on them, and then they've got the clothes on. It's fine. It's just like I've got to lift their head up, like get it over them. It's just that first thought of changing them was crazy. I remember watching the midwife do it, and I was like,
Well, you left, didn't you? Like at 10 o'clock, whatever, whenever the visiting hours ended, and I had to do nappies all night. And I was like, I'm gonna have to press the buzzer and get some help because I don't know what I'm doing here.
yeah, it's.
Whereas with Remy,
crazy.
like with Jax, I stood up and did it. Whereas with Remy, I literally like got him out of the cot onto the bed, changed his nappy in between my legs on the bed, and just fed him, put him back, and he was fine. Whereas with Jax, I was a bit more like, I don't know what I'm doing. Help me.
Do you think though? Because even though you were like that with Jax, but then quickly you became like mom.
I think I was more anxious with Jackson. I'm not an anxious person though. But in that being said, I was anxious with regard to like, oh my god, what if someone steals him? What if like I was scared to go out? Like at first, I was like,
Shouldn't have,
what if
but-
somebody? I'd watched too many Facebook videos. What if somebody? Because I'd seen it happen on these videos. Comes and just swipes him out of the pushchair when I'm walking.
Yeah.
What? Because they're not strapped in the carry cart. They're just rolling around in there, really, aren't they?
Mm.
That first walk is so scary.
However, now you can run.
I can run, but I've just got a baby strapped to my chest. Yeah, I was more anxious with things like that. And I remember like almost wanting to shut ourselves into our little bubble with Jax. Whereas with Remy, I was kind of happy to see people right away and go out. But with Remy, I was more concerned about things like his breathing.
Yeah.
I never felt worried about, I need to see if Jax is breathing. I never felt like that.
I felt more like that with Jax than
But
I
I
did with Remy.
felt more like that with Remy than I did with Jax. So I had more anxiety about those sorts of things. And I don't know whether it's because I'm a bit older and I can see these things happening, or whether I've read more about parenting and like SIDS and things like that. It's called SIDS, isn't it?
Do you know what? Right.
Sudden infant death
I was going to guess
syndrome,
that exactly that, but when you said it, I was like, yeah, SIDS, whatever. But then, I think I put two and two
so
together.
there's a lot of things like that I kind of have been a bit more aware of, and I think because he's a bit more of a sound sleeper.
Yeah,
More like...
We're used to someone waking up every 20 minutes, and we're like, hang on, this isn't normal. I thought a newborn just screams all night and doesn't go to sleep.
Yeah, and again, my feeding journey's been different this time, and we'll do a whole episode on that because it needs it, and I think a lot of people need breastfeeding support from other breastfeeding moms and partners and how to support
Breastfeeding dads.
breastfeeding dads.
And what am I?
You,
I'm a dad of a breastfeeding mom.
yeah.
I'm not the dad of the breastfeeding mom,
No.
though. I mean, I'm the husband of the... Doesn't matter. I think breastfeeding dads work,
Maybe.
right?
Let's know what you think
Yeah,
about
please
that.
do. We need to
Is
come up
that
with
the
it.
term?
No, it's probably not. It's definitely not the term, but we need to come up with one.
Are you just dad?
No, because there's many different types of dads. But
Hmm.
yeah, anyway.
But yeah, when I was feeding Jax in the night, I would be like awake and I'd like look at my phone and stuff. Whereas with Remy, I'm very sleepy still and relaxed.
Yeah,
But I
yeah.
don't know. Again, is that me? Is that because I've done it once before? Who knows? But yeah, I feel differently this time than last time, but in different ways.
Hmm. Do you think that because I'm more the anxious one out of the two of us, you're the more things are gonna be great kind of person? Do you
Glass
think that?
half full.
Yes. I mean, I wouldn't say I'm a glass half empty kind of guy, but I
Depends
generally
on the
think
day.
I'm a worrier at heart. But do you think there are couples out there that are both? Like, imagine in the early days where, or even the early days of him, where I'm like, what kind of vest do you think we should put on him? Like, do
Yeah.
you think there are two partners that are both worrying and they're both just like, I don't know,
Yeah, I
really?
do. Yeah.
Because I just think for any given moment, I mean, it sounds like you're just constantly picking me up here, but I think there are moments where we do sort of balance each other out in, the other person brings the positive to the negative situation. I've always
Yeah. There's
felt that way.
lots of videos like on relationships and stuff on my Instagram anyway. And there was one basically saying like if you're feeling 60% one day, I'll pick up the slack kind of thing and just kind of
Yeah, you know what?
level it out.
I saw that, and I thought, fucking bullshit. Like, yeah, because I just know your number. Like, I know
No,
they're
but
just
if
trying
you
to
know,
arbitrary, like, put an arbitrary number to it. I get it. It's like if someone's feeling low, you pick them up X, Y, Z. But yeah, it feels a bit bullshitty, man. Because some days you're both feeling like shit, and it's just the end of the day. It's crap. You write it off. Like, I think trying to
go and eat a
make out
chocolate.
that you know you're this perfect couple. Like I know I've just said that. Like where like I do feel like we balance each other out, and even that sounds a bit wanky. But I think there's a lot of things that get portrayed online where it doesn't help with people's opinions and standards because there is no perfect relationship. Like no one's got it figured out. When you realise that everyone is just a grown up baby on this earth, like you put all these people on pedestals, whether it be your parents, whether it be presidents, prime ministers, whatever.
Huberman.
Exactly. No one's got it figured out. No one's got it figured out. We're all just trying our best, whether it be with parenting or relationships. Like
Yeah.
we're all just trying our best. But like as people that have been in a relationship for 16 years, and I feel like we've got experience,
Yep.
which is valuable, and I don't think it's worth like not saying the things we've been through and the things that we experience. I think that's important.
Yep.
Whether or not people want to listen to it is up to them. But like,
But if you do, make sure you are liking and subscribing.
yes, four
Following.
stars is not what we like. We like five. Just made me laugh when I saw it. But yeah, I think when it comes to like relationships in parenting, you you're never gonna have it like fully figured out, especially like if you have one child, like we were saying, how we got to Jack's being nearly 2, and we felt like we were sort of rolling with it, and
Yeah.
then suddenly he comes along and it's just completely railroaded our relationship, like completely like the thing that completely could derail our relationship in terms of having that intimacy like a lot more is another child. Because and like we always say like man marked. We're man marked in our house now.
Yeah.
I'll come home and I'll come in here and I'll have the boys and you'll go, right, I'm gonna go cook because we need food. And I'm like, okay,
And I need a
great.
break.
Yeah, but then we're literally like we're like
Yeah, as soon as one of us comes in to say watch the boys, the other one instantly leaves.
yeah,
So it's very
it's an
rare we all like
opportunity.
literally sit here and have a cup of tea with you, or
Yeah,
we sit together and have a meal, or whatever it is, because you're working in the week, then if you're around, I'm like, I'm going to go to the gym.
Yeah.
You know, we have to prioritize like my selfish time as well.
But the thing is, if we use that time whereby I'm here and we could like be together but as a family, eventually you're gonna not be bringing your best self to
Because
this
I'm
family.
always here.
Yeah. And I think that I learned that 9 months in when you started CrossFit. You know, we didn't know what either of us needed as parents.
Yeah.
You know, we didn't know how important having something for you
Yeah.
is. That's literally, it doesn't involve me, it doesn't involve the boys, it is just for you.
Yeah.
That's your thing, that's your time, that's your space. And especially if it's around other people, I think that's really important as well.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter what it is, as long as it's not sleeping with other people. No, you know, it doesn't matter, you know, when it comes to sport, you know, it doesn't matter what it is. I think having that time, and it's really hard because a lot of people might be watching this and going, yeah, but we just don't have time, or that seems unrealistic. And it's like, you can make the time for it.
Yeah.
It just might not be a time that right now you can fathom, but eventually you can figure it out if you
Yeah.
really want it. And it's so important to have that because, like, our relationship, you know, we're talking about relationships here with kids, our relationship got so much better when you started having time for you
Yeah.
again, because
Yeah.
then you were bringing a different, like,
Well, I always bring my top self because I was able to, you know, I don't know, getting energized. I was going and just blowing off some steam and just talking to other people, not being surrounded by children all the time. It definitely helps you become who you are, especially because we both kind of work on our own. We don't have a team around us, say, in our work life. We don't have a commute. We don't have any time to have any downtime for ourselves.
yeah,
So our sports, respectively, have been our kind of downtime, really, and our alone time that we needed for ourselves, selfishly, to be the best versions of ourselves. So I started CrossFit when Jax was 9 months old, and that is nearly coming up to, well, my anniversary was a few weeks ago, so I've been going 2 years now.
mad.
Prior to that, I was just an avid gym goer for years. And you started Brazilian Jiu Jitsu
Yeah,
also. When was that?
it was in the same. Oh, yeah, it was in the same year. But I started in the September. You started in the January. So I've always played football once a week, which was great for me as well. That was like my time to, you know, do something I love.
Yeah.
And that's like, I'm not dad, I'm not husband.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I'm just Mark. Um, and I think that's really important. You know, again, when you go to CrossFit, you're Nick. I mean, obviously, I know you took the boys there,
Yeah.
but you are Nick. You
Yeah.
know, you're not mom, you're not wife. Like, you can be your own identity there, and I think that's really important. And I don't think I realised that until, you know, seeing the joy that it brought you, and that makes me so happy. Like, seeing you love something, and like, again, we can go on this on another podcast where like the journey you've been on when it comes to the injuries you've been through. Like, I've seen you at some really bad, you know, situations
Yeah.
physically, and to see you do what you do now there is incredible. Like, I've seen you not be able to walk or have to learn how to walk again.
Yeah.
And then to see you do what you do at CrossFit, like, oh, just it's a feeling like I can't describe.
Yeah.
It's incredible. So yeah, I think having those moments to have time to do things, and yeah, I think I like football was great for me, but it kind of felt like I'm on a sort of slope of only getting worse. You know, I'm 33, and it's a sport where the
You're not
best.
33 yet.
Oh, well, nearly 33 in a couple of weeks, but you know, it's a sport where,
It's a young man's game.
yeah, I mean, I probably could get better than what I am now if I put more time and effort in, but I wanted to do something where I felt like I needed to learn a new skill. So yeah, I don't want to go too much into that as well because I feel like that's something I want to talk about more.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been great for me on many levels doing that. But yeah, I think having that time to figure out who you are and what you need is really important, especially now with two. I mean, my time to do those two things has just completely fallen off a cliff. Like I haven't done either of them for. I mean, I've done one session this year of BJJ. I've not even been to football since December.
You
Like,
know,
no, I've not played for ages.
it's all
It's just
blurry to
been,
me.
well, that's the thing. It's been a blur, especially with the boys being ill, and that's where like you can have the best will in the world and have systems in place and time for each other to do certain things. But like, especially like for me, my time to do certain things is quite limited, whether it be late at night or early in the morning. But those times have been quite affected lately with sleep with the boys. So
Yeah,
I've chosen to not go. Like my Brazilian Jiu Jitsu class is 6 a.m. until 7 a.m. And a lot of the times I choose not to go because the house situation is so stressful. Like Jax is coughing or he's awake and he needs sorting while he needs breastfeeding, and they're both crying and screaming, and it's like, you know, I can't live with myself like leaving in that situation, because it's not always like that. It just has been like that quite a lot lately,
yeah.
and it just interrupts your rhythm and your routine, and you kind of like get used to not going, and then you don't go, and you kind of like not happy to not go because I'm not
You're just out of the pattern.
out of the pattern, and yeah. But I've got like my coach there is like really supportive and understands what's going on, and yeah, it's just nice to have that kind of relationship where you can talk to someone about it and they get it. Um, but yeah, it's just one of those things where we're in a period of time where you need to try and put yourself first, but there's gonna be periods where you're just not going to be able to do that. And you have to accept that. Like, there's no point getting, because I mean, don't get me wrong, sometimes I do get frustrated because I'm like, well, this is my time, and why is it getting taken away from me? But I can't do anything about it because I need to be there for my children, and
Yeah,
they're my priority, and
yeah,
I need to be there for you with the boys, and that's the thing. So it's about picking and choosing, because I know that there are times where it gets better, it gets easier.
yeah. These are all phases, aren't they? But when you're in the bad phases,
It's learning to
you feel
accept
like
it's
they
a
last
phase,
forever.
though.
Yeah,
That's the thing. When it comes to sleep or whatever it is when they're ill, you have to just remind yourself it's a phase, because you know what good feels like. You don't get good without bad. If everything was just good, it wouldn't be anything. You'd just be something.
yeah,
You have to have the negative to know what the positive is. So, yeah, I think we just need to ride out this current storm,
yeah,
stick together, and yeah, I think this year's going to be pretty pretty good. I'm
yeah.
feeling confident that
It's
we're
going to
going
be
to
a big year.
do some big things this year
Yeah, it's
for sure.
exciting.
Yeah,
It is exciting. So we'd love it if you stayed tuned
definitely. I think this is,
across all platforms.
yes, YouTube, Spotify, and Apple is where we're currently at.
Yeah, but you can
Um,
also find us on Instagram and TikTok too.
yes.
Um, you're away this weekend for your course,
Oh yes, that should be good.
so we can keep you posted on that next
Yeah,
week.
well, I'll try and do a little semi-recording maybe that we can put into next week's podcast with just sort of how it went.
Yeah,
But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It should be good fun to just like for the first time really like be in that world,
yeah.
because I'm like a carpenter pretending to be a nutritionist. It feels like at the moment there's a lot of like, how
You
can
know
I,
an awful lot about nutrition for a carpenter.
yeah, I mean, obviously I'm interested in it, and I've took a keen interest in it for a while, but yeah, I think it's like trying to get over that imposter syndrome, like who am I to do this sort of thing. um So yeah, it's gonna be good to like the more things you expose yourself to, you're just like erasing that self doubt. And I know that I have to just like literally outwork my self doubt.
Yeah,
So that's why I'm like forcing myself to be positive about this weekend rather than nervous.
I'm excited for you.
Yeah, I'm excited too. I'm
And
excited
you're
too.
going to get a full night's sleep. Woo!
Jealous.
I'm really jealous, mate. I've got a residential for my online course as well. I'm just going to go and book myself a hotel room on my own. I'm going on a course.
Well, the part of the course where you have to do like the gym stuff, like just book it in like Liverpool or something, and be like,
Yeah.
I've got to go, I've got to go.
Gotta go. Sorry, guys.
Speaking of got to go,
Thanks for having us again.
having us, yeah, why not?
Having us
Why not?
on your device,
Yeah,
in your ears.
It's been good.
It has been. I've enjoyed it. And if you watched on YouTube, I'm very tired. I've been yawning. I'm sorry. It's not been boring. I'm just very tired. I went to bed at 8 o'clock last night.
No.
It's now nearly 9 o'clock. Bedtime.
Yeah, bedtime.
Remy's like, guys, it's bedtime.
Shining its bright light in my face.
You're smiling. Anyway, thanks for being here, and we will see you again next week.
Bye.
Bye.
I think we've done a good hour there.